Alright, I wanted to do a little follow-up. I finally received the numeric shifting mechanism here and the cables from Numeric, and also I've got the WEVO motor mounts and for the 996 here. And then also I want to talk a little bit more about the idea I have for the transmission mount for the 996. The Carrera C2 and C4 have this single type of mount. So this is from WEVO this is actually for the engine mount for a 986 or 987 Boxster, but I'm pretty sure it's going to fit in the 996 transmission mount. But WEVO, has not tested this in the 996, so I'm kind of doing a little bit of experimentation. So this orange part here is the kind of like that polyurethane, and these two black parts here are actually CNC'd aluminum, and then there's two bolts that go through here, kind of opposing directions. And yeah, so after I use the AGA tool to press out the original one, this tool, because I don't want to, I'm not going to drop out the engine and the transmission, so you can't use a kind of traditional press or kind of similar mechanism as this, but it's got little cutouts. You can see here it's got a cutout, so it kind of fits up into the car in position, and then you just, there's two nuts here that you're just kind of evenly pressing the original one out. And then if you were going to put a factory style one back in, you could use this tool to press it in as well. But with this WEVO version, I'll show you the diagram of the transmission and how the Carrera C2, the Carrera 2, and the Carrera 4 have this setup, but the GT, the GT3, GT2, and the Turbo have a separate carrier with two bushings, and there's several solutions for those GT type cars. So I don't know if this is gonna work, to be honest, but I'm gonna give it a try, and I'll make another video of when I put it into the car and let you guys know. So stay tuned, subscribe, kind of follow along this journey. But this is really cool. I really like the quality of this. It's definitely going to be aggressive setup. I don't drive this car every day. It's just my kind of Canyon Carver type of car, and I drive for for exhilaration and for having fun. So a little bit of noise and vibration is not going to be a problem. Yeah, so the two engine mounts on my car, these WEVO ones are again the semi-solid, and I'm really happy with the quality. I think you can see here, these are all CNC machined out of a block. In some of the pictures in WEVO, it looks like it was just a stamped plate, but I know WEVO stuff is really good, so I went with it, and I'm really happy with the quality of this. And so, I don't know if you've seen the original, my first driving impression of the 996 I got, but the first modification that I decided to do was this here, because so for the engine mounts and the transmission mount, when I was driving the car kind of over 3,000 RPM, 4,000 RPM, when I would let off or accelerate, the engine and transmission was kind of oscillating back and forth, it felt like. and it's just those mounts are too compliant, I think, and they're over 20 years old. So kind of going through and refreshing all those bushings and things, and the very first ones I think that I'm gonna that would solve this problem is this here, and then the second thing is the shifting mechanism. And my cables on my car, the cables were sticky, right? So when I would, it's in the car like this, when I would go this way or this way, it wouldn't really spring back to the neutral position. It would just kind of stick until the car got warmed up, and then as the cables got warm and the oils in the cables or the material in the cables would slide a little bit better. So what I was impressed with this Numeric kit is they have the cables, they have the CNC ins there. These are notorious for where it hooks up to the transmission, falling off or things like that. So people will zip tie it, the little plastic caps. These ones are CNC'd aluminum. You still have the plastic inserts to snap onto the shifting mechanism on the transmission, but these are really beefy, and that's going to make the shifting feel more rigid and inspire a little bit more confidence. So between this really cool joint here, look at that, this really cool joint with no slop in it, and then the engine and transmission mount, between those two things, I'm sure the shifting is going to feel better. It's going to get rid of that oscillation that just makes the car feel loose, and so I'm really excited about these modifications. So please follow along if you got a 996 or you're interested in any of this kind of stuff. Follow along, and yeah, what else? So also, this is a very important thing. It's a little tiny thing. This is the oil drain plug, and it's got a magnetic tip in here. So if I'm sure you've been online and all those forums, and you've seen that if it's bore scoring or if it's the IMS bearing, if you don't get yourself a magnetic drain plug and you're changing your oil often and monitoring that situation, this is not gonna save you or anything. If you've got a lot of metal, it's gonna stick. Some magnetic material is obviously gonna stick here, and it'll help a little bit. But what this does is it just helps you get intimate with your engine, and you can, when you change the oil, you can kind of, rub it, check it, and see, you're always gonna, have a little bit. I was really surprised that the 996 didn't have this magnetic drain plug. I used to race motocross. We had KTMs, and all those bikes had magnetic drain plugs, and it just makes sense to have one. So you got to get yourself one of those, and pay attention to your car. I do want to get one of those boroscopes, so I can drop the sump pan, try to go through the bottom there and scope the backside of my cylinders, just to get a sense, see where we're at. I don't have any symptoms, any signs, but I'm kind of a guy that I want to know, and I want to see where we're at. So that's another plan. And then probably next is going to be all of the suspension bushings and control arms and brakes and brake pads. yeah, so that's what I got coming. So hope you enjoy this information. If you have any additional questions or anything like that, please reach out and let me know. And